Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a time for comfort. This is not a time for distraction, entertainment, or mediocrity. This is a time for conquest. A conquest over the disorder in your life. Let me be blunt. Your life is exactly where you placed it. If your finances are a mess, your time wasted, your goals forgotten, your mind fogged, it's no one's fault but your own. But here's the beautiful truth. You have the power to change it all, starting today. Let's go. The first step in taking control of your life is deciding exactly what you want, not vaguely, not someday, but with ruthless precision and unwavering clarity. A person without a definite purpose is like a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave, carried by every current, driven by the winds of circumstance. And where does that ship end up? Nowhere worth going. You must fix your mind on a single burning aim, one goal, one mission, one purpose that wakes you up in the morning and refuses to let you sleep at night. This purpose must not be borrowed from someone else's dreams or handed to you by society. It must rise from deep within you, from your own hunger, your own vision, your own fire. The masses drift because they lack purpose. They spend their days reacting, not creating. They wait for opportunities to fall from the sky instead of building the ladder to climb toward them. They wake up without direction, move without intention, and collapse into sleep wondering where the time went. And yet they wonder why nothing changes. The truth is simple. Change doesn't begin with motion. It begins with direction. And direction only comes from definiteness of purpose. When your purpose is clear, your energy becomes focused. Distractions lose their power, noise fades into silence. The petty opinions of others become irrelevant. Why? Because you're locked in. You know where you're going. You don't need approval when you've got a mission. Definiteness of purpose turns time into a weapon. Every hour becomes a tool. Every day becomes a brick in the foundation of something massive. You no longer just exist. You build, you climb, you move. There is no more wandering, no more hoping, no more luck. There is only movement backed by clarity and fire. But here's the mistake people make. They say they want something, but they don't define it. They say, I want to be successful. What does that mean? That's not a purpose. That's a wish. That's a cloud. A purpose must be exact. It must be measurable. It must be written. If you want success, define the number. Define the date. Define the outcome. Put it in writing. Carry it with you. Memorize it. Breathe it. Every decision you make must answer one question. Does this move me closer to my purpose? If the answer is no, eliminate it. Cut it. Erase it from your life. Because anything that doesn't drive you forward is dragging you backward. You cannot serve two masters. You either serve your purpose or your weakness. You choose. When you are definite in your aim, life begins to organize around it. People appear, opportunities arise, connections form, not because of magic, but because your mind is alert. You begin to see what others miss. Why? Because you're looking with intention, not with wandering eyes. Your inner world controls your outer results, always. No one stumbles into greatness. No one falls into fulfillment. The highest achievers on this planet are those who chose a purpose, fixed their mind on it, and refused to let go. No matter the setback, no matter the failure, no matter the delay, they did not shift their aim. They adjusted their path, but not their destination, because they had already decided. That's the word most people fear, decision. To decide is to cut off all other options. It's a commitment, and commitment is rare. The world is full of dabblers. People who try everything and master nothing. They chase every shiny object, every trend, every shortcut, and they end up empty, scattered, and forgotten. But the focused individual, the one with a definite purpose, they become a force. Their reputation grows, their results multiply, their presence carries weight. Why? Because people can feel certainty. They can sense conviction, and the world bows to the person who knows exactly where they're going. If your life feels out of control, if you feel lost or unfocused, the first step is not to do more, it's to decide. Decide what you truly want. Not what looks good on social media, not what pleases others, not what feels safe, but what sets your soul on fire. What you'd do even if no one clapped. What you'd pursue even if it was hard, especially if it was hard. Clarity is power, and most people are broke in life because they are bankrupt in clarity. The person who knows exactly what they want will always dominate the person who doesn't. Always. So today, right now, get honest with yourself. Ask, what is my aim? What am I building? What is the one thing that matters more than anything else? And if you don't have an answer, don't do anything until you do. Get still, get serious, get focused. Your future depends on it. Burn your purpose into your mind. Repeat it every morning. Read it every night. Let it become your compass. Let it become your weapon. Let it become your obsession, because when your purpose becomes a necessity, not a wish, not a preference, but a life or death necessity, you will move mountains. You will bend reality. You will force life to make room for your vision. And that's when you begin to live on your own terms, not by chance, not by default, but by decision, by direction, by fire. Self-discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could be. It is the force that separates winners from watchers, builders from beggars, and leaders from followers. You can have ambition, you can have talent, you can even have opportunity. But without self-discipline, it all crumbles. It all stays locked inside you, wasted, unrealized, forgotten. There is no success without control, no power without restraint. If you cannot command yourself, you will be commanded by everything else. The phone will control your mind. The food will control your health. The laziness will control your time. The people around you will control your energy. The world is full of masters waiting to own your focus, your money, your attention. The only protection you have is self-discipline. That is your armor. That is your sword. The disciplined man does not need to be told twice. He does not wait for motivation. He doesn't hope for convenience. He moves whether it's raining or sunny, whether it's easy or painful. Because his loyalty is not to comfort, his loyalty is to his mission. And that kind of man becomes unstoppable. Self-discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's about liberating yourself from weakness, from chaos, from fear. It's saying, I will not be a slave to impulse. I will not bow to distractions. I will not betray my future for temporary pleasure. It is a declaration of war on the lazy part of you that always wants to sleep longer, scroll further, eat more, and do less. The undisciplined mind looks for escape. The disciplined mind looks for execution. The undisciplined mind needs rewards. The disciplined mind is the reward. There is a savage power in waking up and doing what you said you would do, especially when no one is watching. That's how confidence is built. Not through affirmation, not through theory, but through repetition, through action, through quiet, consistent victories when no one else is clapping for you. Every excuse is an enemy. Every delay is a thief. Every soft decision is a silent agreement to lose. People talk about how hard life is, but they won't even say no to a donut. They want transformation, but they won't say no to one more episode, one more drink, one more day off. And they wonder why nothing changes. Nothing changes because they don't change. If you want to build the life you dream of, you must become a person worthy of that life. That means saying no when it's hard. That means doing the thing when it's uncomfortable. That means getting up when you're tired, showing up when you're afraid, and staying sharp when the world says relax. Self-discipline is not a moment. It is a mindset. It is not a switch you flip when it's convenient. It's a code you live by, day in, day out, and yes, it will hurt. That's the prize. It will hurt to say no to easy pleasures. It will hurt to sacrifice sleep, to grind through fatigue, to train when you're sore, to work when you're uninspired. But pain is the toll for freedom. Suffering is the price for mastery. Weak people run from it. Strong people build empires with it. You don't become unbreakable by avoiding discomfort. You become unbreakable by facing it again and again until it becomes your ally. People will tell you to take it easy. People will say you deserve a break. They'll try to hand you comfort like it's a gift. What they're really doing is handing you mediocrity dressed as kindness. Do not accept it. Do not accept average when excellence is on the table. You weren't built for easy. You weren't born to coast. You were made to rise, to dominate, to discipline your way to something greater. And the beauty of self-discipline is that it compounds. What starts as effort becomes habit. What starts as resistance becomes reflex. The first time you say no, it's a war. The 100th time, it's automatic. That's when you know you're free, not because you always do what you want, but because you consistently do what you decided. You will still be tempted. You will still get tired. The weakness never dies. It waits. But so does your strength. And the more you train it, the more it answers when called. Self-discipline is a muscle. And like any muscle, it grows with resistance. Don't avoid the hard days. Don't run from fatigue. Use them. Welcome them. Because every rep builds the mind. Every sacrifice sharpens the edge. Discipline is lonely. Discipline is quiet. Discipline is not sexy, but it is the gateway to everything you've ever wanted. Every master you admire, every giant you respect, they got there by walking through fire and refusing to flinch. They were not lucky. They were not chosen. They were simply consistent. And so the question is not whether you can succeed. The question is whether you will command yourself to do what it takes. Not once, not twice, but relentlessly, until the world has no choice but to see what you built in silence, forged in struggle, powered by discipline. There is no more dangerous lie than the one you tell yourself, "I'll do it later." That phrase has killed more dreams than failure ever could. Later becomes never. Someday becomes no day. And your life, full of potential, full of strength, full of fire, goes dim because you chose delay over movement. Immediate action is not a suggestion. It is the standard for anyone serious about achieving anything of real value. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people drown. They read the books, listen to the podcasts, attend the seminars, but they never move. They collect knowledge like trophies, but their life remains the same. Why? Because they refuse to act. They wait for the perfect time. They wait for more clarity. They wait to feel ready. And while they wait, someone else is out there building, doing, creating. The world doesn't reward the most intelligent. It rewards the ones who move. Action is the great separator. Everyone has ideas. Few have the guts to execute. Everyone wants results. Few are willing to create them. And this is the brutal truth. You will never feel ready. Readiness is a lie sold to the weak. You don't prepare and then act. You act, and through that action you become prepared. Courage is born in movement. Confidence is built in motion. Answers are discovered on the path, not before you take the first step. You must train yourself to respond immediately when the decision is made. The longer you wait, the weaker the decision becomes. Every second you hesitate, your mind begins negotiating. It starts creating reasons, excuses, distractions. You start to doubt. You start to rationalize. You start to delay. And delay is death to progress. High achievers move fast, not recklessly, but decisively. They understand that done is better than perfect, that forward is better than flawless. They make a plan and then they move. They adjust along the way, but they don't stall. They don't freeze. They don't let the moment slip. Momentum is a weapon, and if you don't seize it the second it appears, it's gone. Think of how many times you've had a strong idea, a bold impulse, a sudden motivation to change your life. You felt it rise inside you like a fire, and instead of acting, you paused. You scrolled, you waited, you said, "Tomorrow." And that fire, once roaring, slowly burned out. That moment was your chance. And you missed it, not because you weren't capable, but because you didn't act. Action is the cure to fear. Action is the answer to doubt. When you move, the fog begins to clear. You see what's possible. You learn what works. You gain feedback. You develop experience. The mind feeds off data, and the only way to collect data is through action. The person who acts learns faster, grows faster, fails faster, and wins sooner. Too many people are stuck in preparation. They think if they just gather a little more information, just hear one more opinion, just wait for the stars to align, then they'll begin. What they don't realize is that life doesn't wait, opportunity doesn't wait, time doesn't wait, and most of all, the future you doesn't wait. Every second you delay, you are robbing that future version of yourself of the strength, clarity, and power that only action can create. You don't need a perfect plan. You need to move. You don't need more motivation. You need discipline to act, with or without it. You don't need anyone's permission. The only permission that matters is the one you give yourself when you decide to stop living like you have forever. Waiting is a habit. It's a disease of the mind. And like any disease, it must be treated aggressively. You have to replace hesitation with execution. You have to teach your brain that when a decision is made, movement follows. No delay, no debate, just move. Start, speak, write, train, build, begin. That one act of movement sends a message to your subconscious. I am serious. I am ready. I am in control. There is power in immediate action. It builds momentum, and momentum builds belief. Each action leads to the next. You stack wins. You gain clarity. You stop thinking like a victim and start moving like a creator. You stop living by chance and start operating by choice. The clock is not your friend. Every day that passes is a day closer to the end. That's not fear, it's truth. So, what are you doing with today? What goal are you sitting on? What dream are you delaying? What calling have you been ignoring? Stop waiting for the right moment. The right moment is whatever moment you decide to move. You've waited long enough. You've thought about it long enough. Now it's time to show what you're made of. Not with words, not with ideas, but with action. Relentless, immediate, decisive action. The kind that shakes the ground you stand on. The kind that tells the world you are done playing small. The kind that separates the few who move from the many who watch. Success does not happen by accident. Victory is not random. Wealth, power, freedom, none of them come from chance. They are claimed by men and women who plan with precision and move with force. Organized planning is not optional. It is the master tool of every serious achiever. Without it, your dreams are just daydreams, empty, floating, weak. With it, they become structured, intentional, and real. Planning takes the abstract and makes it concrete. It takes the future and pulls it into the present where it can be acted on. The man who fails to plan is planning to fail. That's not a cliche. That's a law. If your goals are vague, your outcomes will be scattered. If your steps are undefined, your motion will be wasted. And wasted motion is wasted time. And wasted time is wasted life. A man with no plan is a man at the mercy of circumstance. He reacts instead of leads. He wanders instead of conquers. He works hard but builds nothing because his energy is unshaped and misdirected. But the man with a plan, he owns his life. He doesn't leave his future in the hands of fate. He grabs it, breaks it down, maps it out, and builds it piece by piece. He wakes up knowing what the mission is, and he executes. He doesn't get overwhelmed because he's already made the decisions that matter. He doesn't procrastinate because the next step is always right in front of him. Clarity is his advantage, and execution is his weapon. Organized planning begins with the goal, but it doesn't stop there. The goal is the target, but the plan is the path. And every path needs structure. Every outcome needs milestones. Every vision needs tactics. It's not enough to say, I want success. You must define what success looks like. You must break it down to the smallest measurable actions. You must assign timelines. You must define standards. You must know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and when it must be done. A plan is only powerful when it's connected to action. You don't just write it and let it sit. You live by it. You adjust it. You measure against it. You hold yourself accountable to it like your life depends on it, because it does. Too many people make plans and treat them like suggestions. They write their goals and never revisit them. That's not planning, that's pretending. A real plan is a living contract between you and your destiny. And every day you either honor that contract or you break it. Planning demands honesty. You can't build on lies. You must look at where you are without emotion, without ego, without excuse. You must assess your strengths, your weaknesses, your resources, your time, your skills, and then design a strategy based on truth. Not on hope, not on fantasy, on truth. Because when the plan is real, the results become real. When the map matches the terrain, progress becomes predictable, growth becomes guaranteed, and a plan is not rigid. It's alive, it breathes, it adapts. But it never loses sight of the mission. When something doesn't work, you don't throw the mission away, you modify the method. When obstacles appear, you don't retreat, you recalibrate. The weak abandon their plans at the first sign of resistance. The strong adjust their approach and keep moving. Because the mission doesn't change, the end goal doesn't move, the destination stays fixed, Only the route evolves. You cannot build something great by accident. Buildings require blueprints. Empires require systems. Legends require execution plans. And your life, if you truly want it to mean something, demands the same level of intention. You must treat your vision like a project. Assign deadlines, track progress, build routines. Design your days around results. Your calendar should reflect your goals. Your environment should support your focus. Your time should be invested like capital. That's how professionals operate. That's how winners win. The world does not respect vague. The world rewards clear. When your plan is clear, others can follow it. Others can support it. Opportunities align with it. Resources flow to it. The universe responds to structure. It responds to those who know what they want and act like they deserve it. And that's what organized planning does. It tells the world, I am not hoping for success. I am building it. I am not waiting for a break. I am creating one. I am not dreaming of a future. I am engineering it. You don't rise by chance. You rise by design. You rise because you put in the thought before the motion. You rise because you sat down, faced the truth, and mapped out what needed to be done, and then did it. That's the kind of man the world can't stop. That's the kind of woman history remembers. Not the one with the loudest wishes, but the one with the clearest plan and the courage to follow it through with ruthless consistency. So if you want to change your life, don't start with a wish, start with a plan. Break your dream into actions. Break your actions into habits. Break your habits into time slots. Break your time slots into a system, then live that system like your life depends on it, because it does. Every great life ever built was first a blueprint on paper. The only difference between you and the ones who made it is what you do after the planning is done. Every failure, every disappointment, every wasted year can be traced back to one cause: faulty thinking. The inability to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. The refusal to separate fact from opinion, truth from noise, reality from delusion. Accurate thinking is not just a skill, it is survival. It is the foundation of all sound decisions, all effective planning, all lasting success. Without it, you are blind in a battlefield, swinging at shadows, mistaking movement for progress and emotion for truth. The mind is your greatest asset, but only if you discipline it. If left unchecked, it will lie to you, trick you, sabotage you. It will rationalize laziness, justify fear, inflate your pride, and bury your weaknesses under ego. To think accurately is to take control of the machine between your ears and force it to deal only with facts, only with logic, only with what can be tested, proven, verified. Anything else is a distraction. Anything else is a trap. You must learn to question everything, not with cynicism, but with clarity. What is true? What do I know? What have I assumed? What have I accepted without evidence? What emotions are coloring my conclusions? Most people never ask these questions. They accept whatever supports their comfort. They avoid anything that forces them to confront their flaws. Here are 4 how-to questions you can use to narrow that gap. And so they drift, always reacting, never choosing, always chasing, never building. Accurate thinking demands that you strip away the stories you've told yourself and replace them with facts, however uncomfortable they may be. This discipline of thought separates winners from wishers. The weak allow opinions to guide their actions. The strong base their actions on reality. The weak get excited over trends. The strong look at patterns. The weak chase popularity. The strong pursue results. Accurate thinking is not glamorous. It is not emotional. It is not exciting. It is cold, sharp, objective. But it works. And that's the only thing that matters. You must guard your mind like a fortress. Information is everywhere. Most of it useless. Most of it noise. Most of it designed to manipulate rather than educate. The thinker who wins is not the one who consumes the most, but the one who filters the best. You must learn to ignore 90% of what you hear, read, see, and focus only on what is useful, verifiable, actionable. Do not allow opinions to masquerade as truth. Do not confuse loud voices with wise ones. Do not assume something is right just because it is repeated often. Truth doesn't care how many people believe it. It stands on its own. Accurate thinking is about priorities. What matters? What does not? Where is the leverage? Where is the waste? What is urgent versus important? What is emotional versus essential? Most people confuse movement with progress because they lack the thinking skills to know the difference. They stay busy but produce nothing. They are always in motion but never in direction. Their calendars are full, their minds are scattered, and their goals are forgotten. But the accurate thinker sees through the clutter. He sees what matters. He moves with focus. He strikes with precision. Thinking accurately also means evaluating yourself without distortion. Your strengths, your flaws, your habits, your character. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. You cannot grow if you think you've already arrived. Pride is the enemy of progress. The accurate thinker asks, where am I weak? And then does the work. He does not make excuses. He does not sugarcoat. He does not avoid. He dissects his own behavior and uses the truth to build a better version of himself. Surrounding yourself with truth requires courage. It means you stop listening to people who flatter you. It means you stop avoiding hard conversations. It means you expose your blind spots and invite feedback from those who see further than you. The accurate thinker is not concerned with ego. He is concerned with improvement. He would rather be corrected than comfortable. He would rather be challenged than praised. That is why he grows while others stay stuck. You must apply accurate thinking to every area of life. Finances, health, relationships, time, leadership, business. You must define reality before you can change it. You must collect facts before you form opinions. You must challenge your assumptions before you act on them. Every great decision begins with accurate thinking. Every major mistake begins when emotions cloud logic. When others react, you must analyze. When others panic, you must stay grounded. When others follow blindly, you must question ruthlessly. This is the mindset of builders. This is how leaders are made. This is how freedom is earned, not by chance, not by luck, but by the mind sharpened through discipline, shaped by truth, and guided by facts. The world will always try to pull you off course with noise, fear, and fiction. But the one who thinks clearly cannot be moved. Most people quit before they even begin. They speak of goals, but collapse at the first obstacle. They whisper dreams, but never commit with action. They want the rewards, but not the grind. They want the crown, but not the cross. And this is why they never rise. Because success is not given. It is earned through unbreakable persistence and ruthless accountability. Without these two forces, even the most talented, intelligent, or gifted person will fall short. Persistence is the fire. Accountability is the fuel. One without the other is wasted energy. Together they forge greatness. Persistence is not inspiration. It is not about feeling good. It is the ability to keep moving when the inspiration dies. It is the discipline to continue long after the mood has left. Everyone wants to keep going when it's easy. Everyone wants to show up when the results are visible. But what about when nothing's happening? What about when the winds are far away, when the audience is gone, when the effort feels invisible and the pain feels constant? That is the battlefield. That is where the real are separated from the pretenders. The persistent stay in the game because they've made a decision. This is not optional. This is who I am. I do not quit. I do not pause. I do not need applause to move. I have already committed, and that commitment is final. Most people fail not because they lacked opportunity, but because they lacked endurance. They folded under pressure. They let the grind break them. They let doubt speak louder than discipline. They treated persistence as a mood instead of a habit. You must train persistence like a muscle. You don't build it once and forget it. You work it every day, every rep, every push. Every time you show up when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's thankless, you add another layer of power to your character. But persistence alone is not enough. Without accountability, it becomes blind motion. You can persist in the wrong direction. You can work hard and still waste years. This is why accountability is the second pillar. It sharpens your focus. It holds you to the standard you set when you were clear, committed, and sober-minded. Most people run from accountability because it exposes their laziness. It confronts their excuse. It demands measurement, truth, correction. But the man who seeks greatness does not run from it. He welcomes it. He knows that the mirror doesn't lie. He doesn't hide from feedback. He hunts it down. He invites the truth, however painful, because he understands it is the only thing that will free him from mediocrity. Accountability starts with you. Before you ever look for an external source, you must master internal accountability. That voice inside your head that says, not good enough, do more, show up again, you must amplify it. Not with self-hatred, but with self-leadership. You must set standards that scare the average man and then meet them daily. You must stop negotiating with weakness, stop lowering the bar to match your feelings, discipline yourself to follow through, regardless of mood, weather, emotion, or opinion. If you said you'd do it, do it. No backup plans, no side exits, just execution. Once you have mastered internal accountability, you seek external accountability to elevate you even higher. You find people who will not let you lie to yourself. You surround yourself with winners who call you out when you fall short. You create systems, scoreboards, metrics, deadlines that force transparency. Because results don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Habits don't lie. You don't rise by saying the right things. You rise by doing the hard things and having proof. There will be days when you feel like quitting. There will be days when the voice of doubt feels louder than the voice of discipline. There will be days when comfort tempts you to back down, and this is where persistence, powered by accountability, becomes your greatest weapon. You do not need to feel strong. You need only to remain committed. You need only to move one step further, one more rep, one more call, one more page, one more day. That's how giants are built. One defiant act of persistence at a time. You must stop seeing failure as defeat. It is not the end unless you make it so. Failure is feedback. It is information. It is the sharpening ground of those who do not quit. Every time you get knocked down and get back up, you are proving that your commitment is stronger than your emotion, that your purpose is louder than your pain, that your will is harder than the wall in front of you. And that is a terrifying power. Because the man who cannot be broken cannot be stopped. Persistence, backed by accountability, makes you dangerous. It makes you a force of nature. While others wait for the right conditions, you build in the storm. While others hope to be motivated, you execute on principle. While others look for shortcuts, you build foundations. This is what separates those who try from those who triumph. Not talent, not timing, relentless persistence, ruthless accountability, and the daily decision to do what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. The life you want will not fall in your hands. It will be built by your hands. It will not come through wishful thinking, but through intentional action. Every principle you've heard, definiteness of purpose, self-discipline, immediate action, organized planning, accurate thinking, persistence, and accountability, is not theory. It is law. It is structure for your rise. You are not waiting for permission. You are not waiting for the right time. You are choosing now, because power belongs to the man who decides, the man who moves, the man who endures. The world does not respond to noise, it responds to force. Be that force. Not someday, not when